Today we're going to be reviewing the new NavPro version 2.0. And what this is an upgrade to the previous version, NavPro, which was designed to provide a few options, one of which was primarily GPS-based navigation. And what that meant is it gave you the ability, without the utilization of your smartphone or Wi-Fi or any type of cellular signal, to give you full GPS-based mapping through your CarPlay interface. This was perfect for those that found themselves in situations where you were out of cellular range. Let's say you were going to the mountains or through the desert or any type of outing, and there was no cellular reception. Your Android Auto or your CarPlay experience would leave you without any type of mapping. So this device would provide you completely self-contained GPS mapping built into your factory CarPlay experience. But we're not covering this module. We did in our previous video. This module has now since been replaced and upgraded. Some of the upgrades that took place I'll go over in just a second, but this is the new NavPro module, and this is the NavPro version 2.0. And as you can see, the differences between the two are pretty dramatic. It's much smaller in size. This one is definitely much more appealing. Right off the top, there are some major differences, one of which is right here. This is a 4G LTE SIM card slot, meaning that there are some features that I'm going to go over in a second, but being able to add a data-based SIM card from your cellular provider like Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile and give this device completely self-contained Wi-Fi. That's pretty impressive relative to not needing, again, a hotspot or any type of cellular signal. This device, the older version, does not have that, although intuitive, does not have that feature. One of the other major changes between these two devices is the new NavPro Plus version 2.0 module also has GPS built in. Now, in the previous version, this version here, the unit actually required an external GPS antenna, as you can see right here. It wasn't very difficult to install. It required an accessory wire and a ground wire, but the communication of the little box to the primary module was done via Bluetooth. So there wasn't a physical connection between the two, but you still had to install this device in the vehicle and then, of course, place the GPS antenna somewhere, which could be, somewhat cumbersome or a little bit labor intensive. The new NavPro Plus module, as you can see here again, has it built in, so there is literally no need to run any external GPS antenna. The connections for the module did also improve. In that the new connection is now a single USB cable, and this is what's provided by the manufacturer. The USB cable is quite simply just a simple connection. USB-C plugs in right there. You take your USB standard and, of course, plug it into the USB input. Now, once you connect it to your USB input for your smartphone, and again, the prerequisite for this module to work is that the vehicle does have CarPlay. This device utilizes the CarPlay controller interface, like that of a universal remote control, programming it to your home television, so to say. This device has the coding to utilize that program coding to control it. And as you can see, the device is popping up on the screen right now, getting ready to synchronize. The device is Android based, which means it's going to have some primary Android based features, which you're going to find are going to be incredibly advantageous to be able to use and to take advantage of. Right away, you can see a few icons on the screen, one of which here is the iGo mapping icon. Now, this icon here is designed to provide the GPS-based navigation mapping that I explained earlier. That mapping encompasses not only the United States, but also Canada. And again, it has about 12 million plus points of interest, pretty much everything you're looking for in a standard-based navigation software, but it's completely factory interfaced with a single cable connection that you saw right here. That's what makes it not only so intuitive, but very do-it-yourself friendly, in that I have literally just performed this installation that you can see right here in a matter of seconds. The unit synchronized to my screen. Now this unit does also come with a self-resolution formatter. And what that means is whether your screen size is something like this factory 8-inch, you've got, let's say, a 7-inch or maybe a 10-inch, or maybe like in some of the Dodges, they have a larger 12-inch. The unit is designed with the software protocol to format the screen properly, so you don't have black bars or any images cut off, or the font on the screen is not the correct size. Everything will format as if it was built right from the manufacturer. And as you can see here, this vehicle is touchscreen fitted. You have touchscreen controllability here all through your factory display. Now, because we're going through the CarPlay interface, this module is treated like a factory source. And what that means is if I choose to go from this module back to, let's say, my factory radio, I can do it a few different ways. I can simply touch the screen and the little dot comes on the screen here. I simply push the dot, the home icon pops up. I can push home. Now in the process of going here, I can choose the car icon, which as you can see here, it says car. It takes it back to your original car interface. If I want to go back into the device, it's quite simply just going back into the original device. Go to Apple CarPlay, and it should pop back up. I actually pushed the wrong button, so we're going to go ahead and do that again. We're going to push this button, push the car button, it goes back into your original factory interface. Push the Apple CarPlay icon, and your NavPro Plus version 2.0 experience pops back up. Now I'm going to put this down for a second, just right here so you can see. But once the installation is complete and the GPS built-in synchronizes, showing you exactly where you are, you no longer have to have this device exposed. You can tuck it inside the drawer here, as you can see. Put the cable away, close the drawer. It doesn't have to be on top of the dash or exposed for the GPS to be able to receive signal. The signal that it's looking for is radiative, meaning that it can penetrate things like plastic or dash panels or things of this nature. So you don't have to have it sitting on a dash, being out, becoming cumbersome or somewhat of an eyesore. Some of the other features that the device has built in, now that we're taking over the factory interface, are things like wireless CarPlay. Now that's important to understand, because if you look at what we're doing here, where you see we've taken up a USB input, there is still a second USB input available, but this input is designated for charging only. So if I want to use my original CarPlay that's built into this particular radio, and this is a 2021 Honda Accord, I would traditionally have to remove this plug. But the NavPro Plus version 2.0 did something really intuitive, which I loved, and they've added wireless CarPlay. So that means that you no longer have to be tethered to plugging into that USB port. You can simply push the speed play icon, it will launch, it will begin looking for your iPhone. Once you pair it and connect it one single time, you are now complete. Now, for Android Auto users, don't feel let down, as most devices only do CarPlay. This device was intelligent enough to be able to do not only wireless CarPlay, but also wireless Android Auto. So you will get wireless Android Auto as well, which is unprecedented right now and should give you the experience that you're looking for. Some of the other icons in here that you can see are like Google Chrome if you want to go on the internet. You've got YouTube Music. There's so many different features. You even have Waze, and even though that is a cellular or Wi-Fi based app, you still have the option to use it if you don't want to utilize the GPS based navigation system that's built in. Now, one of the other things that you get with the NavPro Plus version 2.0 module, and why it has a 4G LTE card slot built in, but it also has built-in Wi-Fi, is because you can connect it to Wi-Fi to give you an experience of unrestricted streaming. Now that means that you have access to streaming apps, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon TV, YouTube, pretty much any one of these streaming apps, HBO Max, and you'll be able to watch your streaming apps in your vehicle. Now obviously, CarPlay, Android Auto, they all have limitations and restrictions to make sure that that warning label that pops up on the screen that says you will not use it while the vehicle in motion is still applicable here, but you as the user take on your own discretion on whether you choose to use it in motion or not. But this company has fitted this device with the ability to take advantage of these. All you have to do is connect the module to Wi-Fi, which the Wi-Fi is built in by simply going into your standard network or internet connection. Go to Wi-Fi, look for your Wi-Fi connection reception here. Once you find it, simply click it, type in your password, and it will synchronize to your Wi-Fi experience. And you will now be able to log in and get your wireless signal. So I'm going to go back to the home screen here. So as you can see, very, very intuitive. Now what they also did here, and this is one of my absolute favorite features. I love this. What they did is they built in split screen capability. Now this completely blew my socks off, because one of the things that I obviously love about the device is that it has built-in GPS and built-in navigation. But I don't want to be limited to only staring at my navigation screen. So what they did was they built in additional app accessibility to be able to access your other apps at the same time. So half the screen can be committed to my navigation, the other half can be committed to Netflix or Hulu or YouTube, which is fantastic. And I can delegate which screen I want to play the audio. Or maybe I just want to watch them and I don't want any audio going on other than my factory stereo because I have satellite radio or maybe one of my favorite FM broadcast stations going on. Then you can have the factory audio playing in the background while these two screens are performing their functions. This in itself is absolutely amazing. I was completely blown away by this function here. And it really, it took me by surprise to know that it had this type of option. I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to go back to the home screen here and just kind of make sure you see Spotify and some of these other, apps here. You are not limited. You even have access to the Google Play Store. So once you are connected to Wi-Fi, for you Apple users, you may not have a Google Play account. Now that doesn't mean you can't start one. Google Play Access is actually free, and it only takes about 30 seconds to create an account. It's completely free. Simply log in, create your account through a Gmail email, and once you do that, log into your Google Play Store, and you will have access to pretty much every application that's available on your Apple App Store as well. The Android and Apple apps are generally the same, as you know. So as you can see here, just very, very intuitive. A lot of different features built in. This thing absolutely gets 4 stars from me. It is an incredible device. It is not limited to only factory-fitted CarPlay vehicles. We've actually tested this module on Pioneer stereos, Sony stereos, Alpine stereos, and it performed magnificently. So it seems to be reliant on that only it has to have CarPlay. So if it's an aftermarket stereo or a factory radio like this, as long as it has CarPlay, it's fully applicable and it can be used. And again, the installation you saw was relatively 15 seconds and my install was complete. Thank you very much. Please follow my next videos in looking for my review of our new smart CD player, which is the world's first CarPlay-based CD player. Thank you very much.